Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. Today I'm going to do a video on bananas. We grow ice cream bananas, blue Java bananas, and I've divided more than 400 of them, or I guess I'm on 400. 401 is what I'm going to show today, the 401st banana divide I did. And when we started here, I started with 15 banana trees that I bought from Pine Island Nursery. And I planted them like I plant everything else. I planted them and didn't water them, and a lot of them struggled and just really didn't grow. And one particular clump did better than the rest, and I'm going to go show that. And I'm also going to show how I divide bananas and where I plant bananas, and what I do for bananas to get them to fruit. So I wanted to have a fruit that I could sell year round. And I had a goal of getting 365 bananas. So I started with 15, and I divided the first 15. Started about 2 years ago. I think I started about the time I started making these videos, and I said what I was going to do, and I'm there. I'm up to 400, and so I try to put goals on myself. And first it was 365 bananas, and then it was 400, and now I'm going to go to 500 bananas. So bananas I divide are bananas that look like this, where they're not ready to fruit yet, and then they have a pup, and I really prefer to have 2 pups on there, but I will take this pup off and replant it. I'll show you what I do with that. But if the tree is getting close to fruiting size, then I don't remove the pups until after it's produced a flower and a rack of bananas that's I've chopped down. Then I'll take the pups off. And our whole fertility program is based around the miniature zebu cattle from India. We do a regenerative form of farming here, where we combine multiple regenerative farm practices like Indian zero-budget natural farming, biodynamic farming, Korean natural farming, permaculture, syntropic agroforestry, and we adapt them for use here. So just take small aspects of it. But probably the biggest influence I had was from Indian zero-budget natural farming, and that's why we got the miniature zebu, and that's why we've had such success with soil fertility and fruiting trees that don't fruit, and we don't have to water anything. Everything is 100% dry farmed here. I don't water any bananas when I plant them in. I don't water any fruit trees when I plant them in. And we have about 9 larger jackfruit trees and a bunch of little tiny seedlings that I've been planting periodically here and there that aren't fruiting size. But all of our jackfruit trees that are of fruiting size are now flowering and producing fruit. And it's because of the miniature zebu manure. I believe the only thing I really needed to do here in Florida was to allow what nature puts in the orchard floor to remain, and apply zebu manure with hay. It's what we clean out of the barn. I think that's the only thing I probably ever had to do, but you have to do it daily, year round. There are rules against applying raw manures and then selling fruit to the public. You have to wait 120 days after applying the raw manure before you can harvest fruit and sell it to the public. So I got it all on my mangoes well in advance of that 120-day period, and they're starting to bloom now. So the manure was applied like 150 days before we're going to harvest fruit. So this area through here was always a trouble spot, and I've learned some things planting bananas along the way, and one of them that I discovered after being here for like 7 years, like within the last year, is that bananas will improve the soil. And if you plant bananas in conjunction or near small fruit trees, they will ensure that your small fruit tree survives and will grow faster, speed up its metabolism. And there's a little cashew seedling here, and this is a banana, a prime example of a banana where I would not remove pups from the banana because the rack will suffer. The size of the rack will suffer, and the rack could die from it. And so I just wait for that to ripen, and then after I harvest it, then I'm going to take that down to one banana there. Ice cream bananas in particular like to form clumps of bananas. And one of the things I thought when I first started growing my bananas was that they like to be in low areas that are high in moisture. And I found that that's not true. That they are like the other trees. They don't like the standing water. They don't like low areas. If you do put them in areas that are always wet, they can suffer from fungal infections. And I did connect some of our trees, our grafted trees, to water for a brief period to our well water, which had a very high pH, very high pH. And first thing I noticed was that bananas that weren't even near the water source, the tree that I was watering, like that black sapote tree, the bananas over here would start getting fungal issues during times of rainy weather. And so I instantly stopped. That was one of the main reasons why we stopped watering. I told my partner, we're just going to have to grow without watering anything. So I would divide this banana off here, and this one's getting kind of big, so I'll leave the second one there, or I took some off there. And this one's getting kind of big, so I'm going to leave that little one there. But there's some bananas with fruit on them in here, and they improved this area. And I've just read some studies on how bananas improve bananas in combination with biodiverse selection of plants. In our case, we have a food forest of multi-species and a lot of different indigenous plants that people call weeds, as our orchard floor, and ginger. And so there's a lot of diversity in there. So the bananas that are growing naturally, dry farmed, are able to, the rhizomes of the plants, because the bananas contain so many nutrients and metabolites, secondary metabolites, and they're put there by the endophytic microbiology that's inside the tissue of the plants. That's how the nutrients get in there, and the phytochemicals. So when you take the plant off, the pup off the plant, that the pup replanted in an area does not have good soil health, or that you need to improve the soil, because there's always room for improvement for soil health. That the pup, due to the endophytic microbiology inside its tissue, will instill the biology into the soil around that plant. So there's a synergistic, functional plant enabling microbes that they share metabolites and nutrients with other trees, with the help of the endophytic microbiology that's inside the banana rhizome. And since these are all dry farm bananas, there's a lot of plant beneficial, this is one I just divided, plant beneficial biology in our soil that's inside these bananas, and they are like big water pumps, and they're full of potassium. So this is a banana rack that's an example of what happens when you remove racks from banana clumps, because this is right next to a path. So I took all the pups off this one, so the racks suffer. The size of the rack is smaller. So most of our bananas came from this clump right there, that big clump. There's a big rack on there right now, on one of them. We're pretty close to having bananas every day of the year, but I'm not there yet. I just never feel like I have enough. It's kind of a sickness. It's like I just can't stop myself. So I have no rules on the size of banana. I can do about 5 bananas in a half hour, dig them out and plant them. And I'm going to show you how I do that here in a second. But because bananas are like giant water pumps full of potassium, which is it's the nutrient needed for plants to handle abiotic stress, so handle stress better. And since they're so full of water and they get colonized by fungi, they get the nutrients, the metabolites and the nutrients get distributed and shared with other trees that are planted next to them. So I didn't really realize that about bananas until I saw it happening in real time here at the farm. When I got up to about 300 bananas, I'm like, boy, they've really improved the soil. And sure, it's in combination with a lot of other plant enabling practices we do here by combining regenerative farm methods, modified. There are no rules in biological farming. So just because somebody has a set of rules or dogma that they follow, say like biodynamics and burying the biodynamic 500 prep for 6 months in the ground, does not mean that that is actually the only way to reach true fertility. So I only bury my biodynamic horn in the ground for a week or two and then dig it up and then rebury it. I don't spray it. I rebury the whole horn in areas where I've had trouble. So you don't have to follow the rules. There are no set of rules. It's just a matter of getting the biology into the soil and getting the plant to create a disease-free soil. So I guess bananas have the ability to do that. And unfortunately, the way they're grown conventionally, I love the way they look too. They have started getting fusarium wilt, but that's just because of the conventional methods they grow them in, the monocrop, not growing in a biodiverse orchard floor naturally, and using water and high nitrogen inputs. I don't really worry about applying cow manure to all my bananas. Yes, they will do better, but I found that our bananas, they seem to just take off as soon as I put them in the ground and don't even show any signs of distress. Well, maybe this one did. But it still looks good. I just planted this a few days ago. Oh, it's because I bent all the leaves down so it wouldn't fall over from the wind, from the storm we had recently. That's why it looks like that. But the top looks fine. This is one I planted recently. It looks quite well. This is one I planted recently, like within the last 2 weeks. This one, same. Oh no, this one right here. I planted this one a few days ago. It looks good. They don't seem to notice that you've divided them and plant them. And this one over here, I would love to take a pup off, but there's a fire ant nest right there, and I don't want to get attacked by fire ants, so I've left it alone. I'm going to wait for that to bloom, and then by then those fire ants will move on. We don't really have a fire ant problem here, but we still have them. They're needed for soil excavation to fix compacted areas. I need to take this pup off this one. This is a prime example of one that I would remove the pup from and move it. I see I have room for plenty more. There's a little one I just planted. Looks okay. They look good. So I'm going to show you how I divide them. So it's really amazing that bananas have the ability to improve soil. And people that are just starting out on a food forest, if you could get on top of dividing your bananas right away and just start dividing them and dividing them and dividing them and planting in guilds of bananas, ginger, and tropical fruit trees all near each other, I'm sure that your little fruit trees will reward you with faster growth and disease, and create disease suppressive soils like we have here. So this is one I'm taking off. This is kind of getting close to fruiting size, and generally I don't do that, but I'm trying to get up to 450 bananas now. So that's my new goal. So I do 5 a day. So here's one. So I take the shovel and I just chop right around the edge of the banana. I put it in, do that, real close to the banana. And I do it all the way around. And I'm gonna leave that shovel here. And then I just pop it and pull it out and shake the soil off. But there it is, tiny little root ball. I'm gonna look at it so you can see what it looks like. There's where it got cut off from the thing. But that's it, that's all I do. And then I already dug a hole. I'm gonna show you how I plant them. And it's as easy as that. Don't even have to water them. They're amazing. They're so nutritious too. There's so many nutrients in bananas and so many bioactive compounds, antioxidants. And I saw that there's like, most of the people that have Alzheimer are missing certain nutrients, and most of them look like phytochemicals, like flavonols and stuff. And bananas are a rich source of bioactive compounds. And all this tropical fruit that I make leaf teas out of, I always include a little banana in my leaf teas. So that's a banana I just planted right there. And they're looking good. It's starting to look like a forest, but I also have lots of little fruit trees in here. So there's a little ackee tree, there's a little achachiro tree, there's another achachiro tree, and I have a lot of different small trees in there that I've planted in the past. And I just kind of mix them all together. And the bananas really complete the look of the farm, I think. They just make it look so lush and tropical. And look at the size of this rack. So this is a prime example. I wanted to see what the bananas look like, because I wasn't really sure if removing the racks or the pups from the bananas was making the racks smaller. So I experimented on a couple of spots, and sure enough, that's what did it. So this is an area where I did not remove any pups, and look at the size of the racks on these blue Java bananas, the ice cream bananas. Really big, nice racks, totally healthy looking plants. And at the base of a lot of the bananas, I have planted little breadnut trees, like right there. Here's a achachiro tree growing right here. There's a rose apple tree. There's a kumquat citrus tree. And over here, I have planted also bananas in shade. Bananas produce fruit in shade. I like planting them in shade. They add a certain layer and they improve the soil. And so this is where I plant my little rare aroids and a lot of my cold sensitive trees that a lot of people said you couldn't grow here, like durian and meringue and chempedak and petali and coffee and cacao, and they all seem to do good. They haven't been affected by the cold. I can't see any changes in them. So I pre-dug a hole over here, and I have my little durian and some cacao, little tiny cacao seedlings in here. And I have a pulisan tree, and here's a little Arabica coffee. There's a little cacao. There's a little pulisan tree. And I pre-dug this hole right here. Here's a durian tree. Has not mined the winter 40s that we've got, mid 40s. There's another durian tree. It's a banana I just planted. And so I just put the banana in the hole and then try to get it so it's straight, you know, not leaning. And then I shove the soil in there and then push it down with my fingers so that it's like all around it. Look at how aggregated this sand is. This was all white sand. And now it's kind of turning into sandy loam. It's gotten very dark. The rabbits have been through here eating all the grass and trying to eat my little trees. And these bananas are going to help my durians and my pulisan and my keppel trees and my meringue trees and my rare arides safe during environmental stress like cold weather or heat or drought. And that's it. That's all I do. And that's how I got up to 400 banana divides, by doing that. Very easy. And I have a friend that says he breaks a shovel every time he tries to divide bananas. But I think that's because you're trying to take too big of a root ball off. I try to get like within 2 inches of the stem of the banana. Here's a breadnut tree. It doesn't seem affected by cold weather yet. So I put my Spirit of Sancti in the ground, and it's doing good. Here's the Philodendron Spirit of Sancti. This is the Monstera Burley Marks Flame I put in the ground. It's doing good. Here's a Anthurium viterifolium that I'm gonna put in the ground. I just haven't done it. They're all looking good. They're all doing well. I would like to add a banana like right here, but I haven't done it yet. And I'd like to add one probably right here, but I do have a little meringue tree right here. And a little cacao right there. I'm gonna look at my petali tree just because I'm obsessed with all these ultra tropicals. The fruit's so good, and I just really want to grow them. So this is a little petali tree that has a new leaf coming out on it, even in the cold weather. This leaf was yellow when I bought it, and this leaf greened up, but that's a new leaf coming out on it. And there's a little cacao right here also. So there's one right there, there's one right here, and then there's a meringue right there. Here's a breadnut tree, looks good. These are my Anthurium regales, which are a lot of people have trouble growing, but I grow them in the ground, and they were in pots and they were starting to look haggard because I was forgetting to water them, but they seem to be recovering since they've been in the ground, and they're looking great. This is the Queen Anthurium in the ground, and it looks good. And over here I have a it's either a meringue or it's one of the tropical fruit trees. It's getting big leaves on it. So here's bananas over here, and this is in full shade, and this is a tiny little rack, but I had removed all the pups off this tree That's why there's just one. I guess there's two of them on there. But I just kept pulling pups off here. And when you do that, the racks get small. So it kind of makes sense because all the moisture in for some reason they say that the bananas will take the nutrients from the trees, from the other trees, and prevent the tree from producing a big rack. But I have not found that. I've found the complete opposite to be true. And bananas, they instill nitrogen fixation in the rhizosphere where they're located. So because they just attract so much different diversity. I'm going to provide some links in the reference section. This is a mangostana that I planted this summer from seed, and it's huge. Garcinia mangostana, never watered. This is a little Garcinia I just recently planted of Garcinia amazonica, gigantea, and these are both 2 new leaves on it just since I planted it like 2 weeks ago. It's just the bananas really help stuff. This is a little cacao, Trinitoro. This is a Criollo cacao. It could be Trinitoro. That's a Trinitoro. There's a Chacha. There's all kinds of different Garcinias in here. There's a Garcinia dulcis right here, looking quite swell. Here's that Garcinia debico I planted, and it got 2 new leaves on it already, right here. Garcinia seem to grow very fast here in our soil now, and I'm positive that's because of the cow manure and the bananas. Has a lot to do with it. Achachiro tree, I'm positive that's a lot of the success. Like I said, I believe the only thing I needed to do was plant diversity that included bananas. People ask if we have bees here, but we have wild bees nests in these trees, or beehives, honeybees. I believe the only thing we needed to do was plant bananas and add cow manure with hay. And I've talked about how people can make their own compost piles if they don't have hay. But I said, buy some hay from the feed stores. It's coastal Bermuda. It's the cheapest grass hay you can get. They do deliver. You could get like 6 bales delivered and use it as a compost ingredient, and do small piles adjacent to your fruit trees. Just one for one area would be sufficient. Like I've dropped a pile of our daily manure here before near this banana, and no other input in this whole area. But when you have the bananas, they enable the metabolism of all these other plants to speed up because of their functionality at photosynthesis. They grow so fast, and they're like pressure gauges of water and microbiology in their tissue. So they're like, they pump water up and it provides pressure, and that pressure is able to like speed and excrete nutrients into the soil around it that is caught by the microbiology, the fungi, and then delivered to the other trees. They're amazing plants. Look at our cacao is getting quite close to being ripe size. A lot of it's still small. I counted them on here yesterday. I'm sure I didn't see all of them, but there's 23 fruit on this little tiny tree that looks like it's all holding. I'm quite excited about that. And it's never watered. Got a lot of different stuff in here. I planted my sugar apple seeds because I wanted to see if they would germinate in the middle of winter. They're not popping up yet, which I'm trying to think if they should be popping up yet. I'm just not sure. I did it last week, so probably not. So this area in here has lots of little seedlings. I have my Plinia inflata with my bananas and my my Talicia trees, which is a giant longan that you can eat the nut of, the kolak, and I also have Garcinias planted in here. There's a Garcinia dulcis right here. It's a big Garcinia intermedia, and then there's some rare aroid cuttings that are in here. I don't believe in mulching out the orchard floor. This is a Garcinia madrona that's like 15 inches tall, growing next to it's a Garcinia lindera growing next to a madrona. I don't believe in mulching out the whole orchard floor with wood chips. I do believe in the use of wood chips, but not to kill the orchard floor. Because how else are you going to be able to tell if your orchard floors, or if your plant is going to be able to thrive if you don't have any indicator plants in the orchard floor, because it's just covered in mulch. And mulch kind of disguises a lot of problems. Sure, eventually it does break down and stuff grows on top of it, but you can use the mulch, but just don't kill the orchard floor. There's a achacha tree. I got little seedling mangoes. There's one here. Looks like it's going to be a very good mango year for us here. I'm quite excited about that. I'm going to get help selling fruit this year, so I need that because I'm like really bad at it. Just really bad at it. So I took a pup off this tree, and they don't seem to mind. You can't really tell that they're suffering at all when you take pups off. I didn't take any pups off this tree because I have a little meringue seedling growing right here, and I didn't want to disturb the soil at all, because that's what you do when you divide or take propagate pups off bananas. You disturb the soil. I don't have any bananas through here because I wanted more sun. It has encephalardos, and it has all these bromeliads, and it has some cacti in here, and I have some rare aroids, but everywhere else I put bananas. I just don't have enough. I just planted this banana here. It doesn't even look like it's suffering at all. Pretty big banana. Yep, this is a kwaimak tree, a fruiting kwaimak. There's a little seedling kwaimak here. Looks good finally. It took a while. This was like a really horribly compacted spot. It's right in front of the house. It was lawned for 50 years. I didn't realize there was so much compaction here. I should have known, but I just didn't know. Nobody ever talks about it. In fact, they tell you to mow and mulch in Florida as an orchard floor, and that plants compete with each other. That is not the case. Here. Been getting lots of black sapote. I had 2 for breakfast this morning. They're so rich and delicious and extremely sweet this year. Seems like people want them. No fruit seems to go to waste here. We've got little coconuts on our trees. The squirrels have been getting them. Looks like there's 3 different crops, but it looks like the 3rd one has mostly died. So I'm excited about that. We don't have a lot of coconut trees, but I've got about 8 of them, I guess. There's one right here. Here's a rack of bananas. So I took the pups off this one because it's so close to my buttercream mango tree. So that is a small rack because of it. If I had left the pups alone, but it would crowd out this mango tree, and it's starting to bloom now. In fact, I'm going to remove all the pups on that side of it, like this big one and this second one right here, just because I don't want it so close to that mango. Just can get a little too close. This one, I didn't remove the pups right next to it. I removed a pup out here, but it wasn't next to it. And look at the size of the rack. Very big rack. Yep, hi little cows. The neighbor got some, looks like miniature miniature beef cattle. They're very cute. Little babies. Poor little things are crying for days. So this is a area that I practice not removing pups. This one hasn't bloomed yet or flowered yet. This one I removed the pups because it was right next to this mulberry tree. And this one right here, I had removed the pups before, but it's not flowering again yet. The second one behind it's going to be a huge, giant rack. I could tell the Rollinia trees appear like they're blooming again, or still. I'm sure we're going to get Rollinia fruit. They're dry farmed Rollinia. They've taken a while. This is a rack of bananas that is quite large, and I did not remove the pups, even though it's adjacent to this mulberry tree. I wanted to see what happens when you don't remove the pups. This banana I did not remove the pups from. As you can see, it's got a big second banana there, and it's got a couple others that are big also. It's also got a big giant rack on it. This is Namdok Mai mangoes. I know they're getting a lot of shade, but this Namdok Mai tree produces better than the ones that are not in full shade or don't have all this shade. Produced 3 crops for us this past year, tons of fruit, so I'm sure it's going to happen again. I know that goes against what everyone says, but there's a fine line between too much shade and too much sun. I mean, not a fine line, but there's, you know, they like a little shade, especially when it's hot. It was so hot this past summer. And that's how we got multiple crops off a lot of our trees. It was always on the trees that were getting half a day's shade. Here's another banana that has a big rack on it. And I never removed any of the pups. As you can see, it's a big clump of bananas, but as soon as that banana, I know how to get the big racks now. I'm going to remove a lot of the pups because these bananas are going to wind up in the road, and it's just too close to everything. Now this is where I really need to plant some bananas. I just divided one off here. There's one there. I have done some. Here's another jackfruit that I didn't think was flowering. It's a seedling jackfruit, but I was looking at this tree yesterday and I saw a great big fruit on it. I'm trying to see where I saw it now, but I know it has fruit on it. I was kind of surprised me, but it seems like all of our jackfruits are now fruiting. The trees that are more than 8 feet or 8 feet above. This is a buttercream mango that is like getting ready to do its thing, covered in bloom. I see a lot of mangoes around here that bloom, but they didn't set any fruit. But ours have fruit on them. Anyway, I'm so excited about mango season. Peach color mango is not fruited yet. There's a pineapple pleasure that is fruiting, flowering, getting ready to flower. It's a Venus mango that has fruit all over it. Yeah, huge giant fruits on Venus. I love it, and they're delicious fruit. I need to get some more bananas in here. I have a lot of moringa and sparse large fruit trees, not a lot of little fruit trees in here because our septic is right here, and I realized that the PFASs from septic systems, you need to be like 100 feet away for your tropical fruit trees, because otherwise your trees are going to uptake forever chemicals from the septics, and people just are unaware of that. So this is my vegetable garden, and this is some squash I planted, and I think it's butternut squash, And then this is my my greens. They all look great. They're dry farmed, and I just never harvested anything from here. Is that a little squash? Yes, it is. Oh, it looks like an acorn squash. That's what this is, yes. Wonderful. So excited. It's so easy to dry farm in Florida. It just surprises me that everyone doesn't do it, and they don't focus on soil health, especially to grow bananas. And if you can get your bananas to grow dry farmed, everything else will follow, like jackfruit. This tree, this little tree, it seems like it has way too much fruit for such a small tree. So maybe I should probably thin some out, but it just keeps flowering and flowering and flowering. Anyway, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm. This is Florida Natural Farming, and that's our bananas, our ice cream bananas, naturally farmed. And what 400 banana tree divides look like, and how we propagate them and plant them, and the inputs we use to grow them, and beneficial properties that bananas instill in soil for soil health. Anyway, have an excellent day. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment if you enjoy this content.